Hey guys, what's up? This is Matthew Davis Me once again. Welcome back to another movie review, aka After I Saw, and this time it is going to be on Happy Death Day to You, aka probably the most clever sequel title I've ever heard in my entire life. But anyway, Jessica Roth leads the returning cast of Happy Death Day to You, the follow-up to Blumhouse's surprise 2017 smash hit of repeating twists and comic turns. This time, our hero Tree Gelman discovers that dying over and over was surprisingly easier than the dangers that lie ahead, and this time everything resets. She is back to the same day, and once again, although it goes for a more scientific or science fiction element, as basically there's this sphere thing in a lab that basically transports her to basically the multiverse theory, where she's in a different world where her mother is actually alive this time, which might be a spoiler, but I don't know. But anyways, and this time it is more focused on comedy than horror. While the first film definitely had some comedic elements, this one goes a lot more overboard with the comedic turn. And for the most part, I left pretty satisfied. This definitely isn't quite as good as the first movie. The first movie, I didn't really expect that much from it, but for the most part, I had a lot of fun with it. This time, it isn't. There are some parts that really aren't the same as the first film, which I was really happy by, because I really like how the returning cast returns, and I like how, basically how they didn't get a new cast, and just because I really like the old cast, and bringing them back was pretty satisfying. And Jessica Roth once again does a pretty fun job, pretty solid job as the main lead once again, just like she was in the first film, and for the most part, she acts like she's having quite fun with the role, as there is a montage, just like in the first film, where she keeps killing herself over and over again, which does kind of sound a bit cheesy, but at the most part, it was entertaining and funny at the same time, and for the most part, the comedy works here. And for the most part, I did find the science fictional element kind of, it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. I didn't really think it worked that much, but for the most part, I did understand where it was going, as it's basically like a portal to another dimension where things are slightly a bit different. The main killer in the last movie isn't the same, although the beginning part kind of confused me a little bit, and I was like, oh, could this be different? Could this be... But then after the first 20 minutes, it just goes to like what we've been seeing in the trailers, because I thought they were going to go to a different route, but for the most part, it kind of confused me. But for the most part, I can say that yeah, it does get a little cheesy sometimes, which I recently just mentioned, but for the most part, it kind of works. I mean, I did laugh quite a bit because of how, I wouldn't say how smart the comedy was, I could say how much fun the comedy was, and for the most part, it is definitely a more funnier time, and while it is pretty fun, but not as fun as the first movie, obviously, for the most part, it didn't really feel much like a straight up A horror film. It felt more like a B horror movie, as the movie really isn't that scary, other than a couple of jump scares, which are false, unfortunately. But for the most part, it feels more like a parody of horror that's actually done right, even though this isn't a parody movie. But for the most part, I can say that it definitely, you're gonna laugh more than you're gonna get scared, because that's one thing that kind of, like, it's PG-13 once again, and they do get away with a couple of bloody scenes, but not that much, because it's meant to be cheesy. But all in all, even though it is cheesy at some parts for the most part, and I didn't really like I don't know, just the concept of this one, where the multiverse theme, it didn't really I mean, it kind of worked, but all in all, if you were, let me just put it this way: if you're expecting a fun and enjoyable follow up to the first film, then you're definitely going to probably enjoy this one. If you're a big fan of the first movie, and basically what I've been trying to mention is it's not the most perfectly well directed movie ever. I mean, Christopher Landon's direction in the first film was pretty solid enough, but the direction here doesn't land a whole lot. But you know what? It didn't really bother me that much because I had a pretty solid time going to this movie, and I didn't expect much because it's a horror sequel that might just be made because of the money. But you know what? I think for the most part, it does a pretty good job, and it's one of the better horror sequels out there. Like, it's one of those Conjuring 2s, those Ouija Origin of Evils, one of those Annabelle creations. It's like one of those horror sequels that, for the most part, works, has just enough magic in it just to basically entertain you. And there is a part that definitely leads to a third movie, which I was worried, like, oh man, is this going to have one of those cliffhanger endings? But you know what? The ending didn't really feel much like a cliffhanger, so I can wait when the third movie comes out, if they do decide to, because I have a feeling that they're going to, if this movie does make enough money, which I have a feeling it will. I'm going to give Happy Death Day to You a 3.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it for the most part, and despite a lot of the issues I had, for the most part, I wasn't really bothered that much by its issues. I still had a lot of fun with it, and I was really driven by its heartfelt moments involving basically her family, pretty much, her parents. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will have more videos coming up. How to Train Your Dragon 3 review will be coming up this weekend, because I'm definitely looking forward to that. It's been a while since I've truly been looking forward to an animated film. I mean, I was looking forward to Lego Movie 2 as well, but I really do have hope for this one. I really have hope that it's going to be a solid end to a great franchise. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Word out.